Larsen. I'm here at the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos. Really delighted now to be joined by Chris Larsen, CEO of Ripple. Tell me, how does what you're doing fit into the fourth industrial revolution?
Yeah, it was a very exciting time. So much change going on. And one of those additional changes that I think will be part of this fourth industrial revolution is this notion that we now have this Internet of value. We're moving into a world where value, money, payments is moving like information already does on the internet. And that's a big deal because until now, the world is sort of a lot of siloed payment networks, country by country, or Visa to M-Pesa. They don't talk to each other. And because they don't talk to each other, everybody suffers, from the poorest working class, underbanked consumer, to the thriving small business, to the biggest global corporation. They're all paying a very steep price because our world of money and payments is not interoperating, is not working as one. And we now have new technologies, whether you call them blockchain or distributed ledgers or whatever we call them. Bottom line is, this is the beginning of an Internet of value, where value will be able to move like information, where it will move instantly, basically for free, as a free infrastructure, and that's a good thing. That now provides access to people, whether they're in, growing economies in Africa or in the rich countries in Europe and the US or in China. It will give them more value that they can use for their families because they will get better access to the global economy. They're simply going to be taxed less from the friction that we've had in the past. And then kind of looking forward, I think you really see this almost futuristic world where, here at Davos, they're talking about Internet of Things. Well, now layer on this Internet of Things, these billions of cars, devices being connected. Now suddenly they're also commerce connected. So things are buying, selling, keeping money. You can imagine the self-driving car that's paying an ambitious coder in Kenya to upgrade its self-driving systems. It's paying some embedded device in the road here in Davos to use the road, and it's collecting money from consumers or maybe even other things that might want to hitch a ride in that self-driving car. So suddenly now you could argue that billions and billions of new economic participants have arrived on Earth who can be taxed, who will have identities. And I think, some people would say, well, that's going to put everybody out of work. I would argue that, if they are economic actors, GDP goes up, taxes go up. You can use those taxes to help some of the people that have been
left behind
in the past. That becomes a pretty interesting world. Obviously, it's just beginning. Lots of things have to happen. Regulation has to happen.
Tell me about some of the regulation that you think has to change in order for this to happen. What's stopping it at the moment?
Well, the big thing is just like when the internet started. I mean, again, this is the Internet of value. It's just like we went through 20 years ago. And I think, I remember a time when the internet was mostly labeled as bad, as a kind of a bad thing that probably had to be stopped. And it was unclear how regulators and government were going to go on it. And actually, there was a kind of key moment in 1997. President Clinton introduced the global framework for e-commerce. And here in Europe, the Bonn conference in 97, kind of a key moment when government decided this is a good thing and we need to get behind it and support it. That's kind of what you need with this Internet of value. We're not there yet, but this notion, not just about specific laws, but about some kind of a global framework for financial technology and allowing companies to sandbox, to experiment before you have to go, build huge compliance teams is really important. But it's just really important for regulators to understand a very potentially powerful good thing might be happening in here. And it won't happen without policy makers, policy leaders engaging with it and actually letting that happen. It's very fragile right now, and it will make the difference between it being transformational or a dud.
Companies like yours are obviously challenging some of the bigger players in the financial markets. How do you see that developing in terms of where financial innovation will come? And if you were to look ahead in the future 5 or 10 years, how big a role will banks be playing in this transfer of value?
I think it's really interesting discussions going on here at Davos around fintech companies partnering with banks and financial institutions. And I think that's the right call. Because when you look at what's going on with this Internet of Value, it's not everything that's changing. There's a couple of really fundamental things that are improving, but there's lots of stuff in the banking world and financial institutions that is, been developed over hundreds of years. And I don't think we want to muck with. For one reason, it's just there's not enough bandwidth to rebuild everything.
Right.
So fintech should focus on what is actually transforming and then partner with the financial institutions so they keep doing what they're doing, and that's a win-win. And I firmly believe that that's how this is going to have the most impact.
Thank you very much for stopping by the Hub Culture Pavilion here in
Thank you
Davos.
so much.
And I'm Edie Lash.